I'm Tracy Pa with the Midday News. Quick response from the police in Port Moresby early this week resulted in the arrest of 67 armed men at Gero Stage 5. The mob had on them bush knives, spears and iron rods, ready to start the fight with another group over a recent murder incident. All 67 were brought to the Waigani police, profiled and charged accordingly. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Silver Sika then had them brought to the Boroko District Court for arraignment. They were amended at the Bomana prison. Each one was charged with unlawful assembly, armed with offensive weapons and about to cause a fight in public. Metsup Sika told the mob during the profiling that he will not hesitate to remove them from their residence at Banana Block because their behavior and the weapons they had are a threat to the general public. France President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Port Moresby late last night for a one-day visit in the nation's capital. The meeting between President Macron and Prime Minister James Marape follows their earlier encounter in Gabon during the One Forest Summit.
Prime Minister James Marape and City Governor Powers Paco Motokoita Assembly Chairman Daddy Toka Jr., Moresby South MP Justin Chachenko, Police Commissioner David Menin and PNG Defence Force Chief Major General Mark Goina received French President Emmanuel Macron late last night. The French President arrived with Prime Ministers of New Caledonia and French Polynesia. The French President's one-day visit includes a meet-and-greet with Governor-General Sir Bob Dadai at the Government House, followed by a visit to the Barrier-Rata National Park in the Sogeri Plateau of Central Province. Hirikwayari MP Keith Iduhu, Central Province Governor Rufina Pita, and Ministers Salio Waipo and Simon Kilepa are scheduled to receive him. A bilateral meeting will later take place between the visiting party and Prime Minister Marape, together with selected ministers, before the French President departs this evening. The meeting is seen as an opportunity to elevate Papua New Guinea's global presence, foster partnerships, and unlock new avenues of cooperation. Maricela Kelleton, TV1 News.
For the first time in the history of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Papua New Guinea, a mission area of the church hosted a women's conference with more than 700 delegates. This is a responsibility they were not expected to shoulder. ELC PNG Evangelist Department Head Reverend Hans Gegera made this statement while officially opening the 39 ELC Chumbu District Women's Conference at Karanai Lutheran Mission Station in the Usino LLG of Midday Province on Sunday. Reverend Gegera noted that such a district gathering is usually hosted by circuits within that district. ELC Chumbu has set the record under the leadership of women leader Agnes Gabi and her team. The women's conference took place at the Bundi Ramu Mission Field of ELC Chumbu Circuit. Gabi was happy because the ELC Chumbu women could witness and verify that their dedication, commitment, and contribution towards supporting women's program in the mission field are yielding success and being used appropriately. The Chinese government has invited Papua New Guinea medical personnel to visit China for short-term training. This comes after the Chinese government signed a renewed protocol for the continuation of China medical team to PNG. The 12th China medical team leader, Cheng Geng, said since the inception of the team in PNG, they have trained and conducted invasive healthcare services to the people of PNG. They have invited the PNG medical personnel to take medical training in China.
General Hospital, but also invites PNG medical personnel to visit China for short-term training. Besides, they have also promoted shorter. Besides, They have also promoted shorter visits, academic exchanges, surgical demonstrations of Chinese medical experts to PNG.
Children at Bukdong Pikinini's Coastal Village Library Learning Centers participated in an educational event where they learned about the importance of mangroves and how to plant them. With the assistance of experts from the Nature Conservancy Coastline Care Project and volunteers from steamships, the children successfully planted 120 mangroves seedlings. Prior site inspection ensures the selection of suitable species and locations for the mangrove sustainability. Mangroves were highlighted for their cultural significance and their role in protecting the coastline from environmental hazards. The event emphasized the importance of early childhood education in preserving cultural practices. In regional news, scientists are hoping the deaths of almost 100 pilot whales in the mass stranding of Western Australia's south coast will help them learn more about the mysterious phenomenon. No one knows what caused a group of juveniles and adults to breach themselves. Experts believe they are a step closer to finding out that they are drawn to the shore.
Attempts to ease the suffering at the end of an exhausting day. In fading light and with fading hope, tending to 40 pilot whales too weak and distressed to swim out to the ocean. Earlier, hundreds of volunteers attempted to guide them to deeper water, only to watch them return. But many are beyond recovery. Of the 97 that came ashore, more than half died. The remainder euthanized.
Incredibly hard. Probably one of the hardest decisions in my 34 years in wildlife management.
Locals at Chains Beach are still processing the past 48 hours.
It's been a really hard 2 days. You know, firstly it was like wonder and what this amazing event that's happening, and then it was, you know, devastation, you know, in the end, and now it's just a real feeling of melancholy, to be quite honest. You know, just an overwhelming sadness that it's all happened.
Although the outcome of the rescue operation was not what volunteers and wildlife officers were hoping for, the vision captured in the ocean before the pod came ashore has provided a valuable insight for marine scientists.
This is a very unnatural situation for them to be in, so close to the beach, remaining in that area for so long, a very huddled, close-knit kind of situation. Even from a behavioural aspect, it's extremely interesting to get those pre-stranding observations.
And it wasn't the only unusual behaviour in the bay.
When the pod arrived, after a period of time, the southern right whales took their babies and circled the pod, and then they left again. And now that the pod is, you know, sadly gone, that the pilot whales have gone, the southern rights have come back again.
The mystery of Mother Nature.
A Mabel man detained in Syria after living in the Islamic State Caliphate has been accused of holding 2 female slaves and subjecting one to multiple rapes. The women are members of the persecuted Yazidi minority in Iraq who were enslaved as part of an ISIS genocide in 2014.
Members of the Yazidi community, since thousands were enslaved 9 years ago by the Islamic State group in northern Iraq. He posed as an arms dealer to infiltrate ISIS slave markets online and has rescued hundreds. He tells me this is a chat with an ISIS man trying to sell an 11-year-old captive. There are still more than 2,000 Yazidis missing, but as time passes, rescuing them is getting harder.
Some captives have ended up in Turkey, others remain in cities and villages in Syria. It was easier when we knew where ISIS territory was. Now they have mixed with the civilians and it's harder.
20-year-old Sarab was taken by ISIS and sold as a slave and passed between 6 different men. While in captivity, she alleges she spent 3 days in the home of an Australian in Syria.
It was very unpleasant. I was their slave and they could do whatever they wanted to me. My life was controlled by them. It felt like my existence didn't matter.
She identifies her captor as Mohammed Ahmad from Melbourne, who she knew as Abu Omar. He's being held in a Syrian prison without charge and says he's never been a member of ISIS.
Initially, they kept me there for 3 days, but then they said they won't buy me because they don't want to buy slaves.
But Sarab's friend Taysir alleges she was later a slave to Abu Omar for more than a year. In an interview in 2019, he admitted there was a Yazidi slave in his house, but said she belonged to his now dead son.
Oh, look, we treated her like a daughter, Yani, anyway, so it's nothing.
Sarab calls Taysir to get her side of the story. Taysir alleges she was kept as a domestic slave and Abu Omar raped her multiple times. We tracked Mohammed Ahmad down again in the Syrian prison system. He denies these latest allegations.
In sports, the undefeated PNG Barramundis will take on Vanuatu in its fourth match in the ICC T20 Cricket World Cup qualifier, East Asia Pacific, this afternoon at 1:30. PNG maintains its winning streak going into this match. Defeating Vanuatu for a fifth straight win in the tournament will be their main objective. The Barras defeated Vanuatu by 9 wickets in their final meeting. With the winning record so far, PNG is likely to represent East Asia Pacific in the ICC T20 World Cup. But again, the qualifier is not yet over with only 2 matches remaining. The qualifying tournament ends tomorrow, July 29. International runners for the amazing Port Moresby International Marathon started arriving in the city on Wednesday. The event will be staged this Sunday, 13th July. The route starts from Hella Beach and around the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium roundabout. Among the visiting runners is the famous Brett Wigner, who holds the world record for being the first runner to have participated in similar marathons hosted across 201 countries. The 74-year-old from the United States of America said he is excited to break another record in making PNG the 202nd country to participate in. Dieter Max Helster of Germany first heard and read about PNG on Facebook. Elster decided to make the long trip to meet new friends and experience the culture, apart from participating in the marathon. That's been another edition of the TVWAN News. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Tasmania is Australia's smallest state, lying about 240 kilometres south